All right, everyone. The left wing is trying to ridicule Trump's job on the economy, which is hilarious. There are several markers that have come in the last week that show the economy is stronger even than we suspected. Now, first and foremost, we went from estimated 4.1 to the real total of 4.2 for the second quarter GDP growth. That's pretty good. Anytime it's revised upward, it's always good. But by the way, lately it seems to be revised upward more often than downward. I think the opposite of what happened under Obama. I wonder if there could be a partisan reason for this among some of these firms. Yeah, probably. But we won't get into that nonsense. It's funny because the other day he decided to browbeat the left. He's like, oh, Obama said I would need a magic wand to hit 4.0 GDP growth, 4%. Well, it's at 4.2, so I guess I have a magic wand and then some, ha ha ha. And then the Krasensteins and all the other, people who automatically are top comment anytime Trump tweets, because that's just the way that Twitter's totally non-political algorithms work. Now we're like, oh, he meant yearly GDP. Now, I don't know that that's actually the case. But here's the thing. Their claim was half true. Obama did 4 different times hit above 4.0 GDP growth. However, you've got to understand that that's just a small number of the quarters during his presidency. Trump seems to be hitting or approaching that mark pretty regularly. More sustained growth than we've seen. Job growth, definitely up. Unemployment has ticked down continuously for the last year. We now have job growth in the working class sector too. You got to understand, and this is for Trump's first year too. It's not just Obama. Most of the jobs created under all of Obama's presidency, where jobs weren't being hemorrhaged, job creation, number one, in many cases, barely kept pace with the population growth. So unemployment never really ticked down. It went down from its recession height, but not to an all-time low like it's at now. The fact is, job growth is now faster. Number two, most of those jobs, and indeed most of the jobs for Trump's first 12 months or so in office, are low wage. That is, these are people who should be in a factory or should be a clerical worker, should be making 40, 50K, they're instead making minimum wage. We've begun to see job growth pick up in Trump territory, specifically among blue-collar jobs. We're talking coal and steel and oil and all of these other things, especially within the energy industry, certain mechanical stuff. That's beginning to pick up. These are more solid jobs. These are the kind of jobs that add to your economy. A low-wage job adds $0 to your economy. If someone is making so little money that the only tax that they have is immediately given a rebate at the end of the year, it's a zero-sum game. They're relying on handouts. They're actually taking more than they're giving. Now, I'm not trying to cast shadow on anyone who's low wage. I know what it's like. I'm not ridiculing you. I'm ridiculing the government. Because the government has structured the economy in such a way that a lot of the jobs that have been added over the last decade, really, are shitty jobs. And the people that are working them, it's not like, maybe 50 years ago, who was flipping burgers. It was the high school student. Or the kid who's got a part-time, an afternoon gig 3 days a week while he's at college and he's, the boomer is paying his tuition with that money and buying a car and saving up for a home and graduates, buys a starter home. It must have been a really weird time to be able to buy a house fresh out of college. Or immediately land a job and start making 30K a year, which back then was a lot of money because you happen to know someone who knows your dad or something. Boomers, you really had it easy. It's very funny that they ridicule the millennial generation for being lazy. No, I know people, they're like, 30, 35 years old, they're still working double shift at Wendy's to get by because there's nothing else to do. Now, though, the economy is beginning to change. We're adding blue-collar jobs. We're adding things in the working and lower middle class that are actually survivable. You're actually capable of at least having your own place. Even if it's a shitty starter home, it's something. It's better. There's possibility, there's hope, and there's optimism. That's really what Trump's economy is about. The consumer confidence, the hiring spree, the increase now in wages, by the way. Wages have begun to rise again. Didn't Pelosi just a few months ago come out and ramble about how that was a horrible thing? Wages aren't rising. Oh my God, they're not keeping pace with inflation. They've begun to do so, Miss Pelosi. The Democrats are going to have a difficult time in 2020, by the way, if it continues more or less. Unemployment is at near all-time lows among all sorts of categories. Job growth is still increasing. GDP growth is sustained and good. It's doing very, very well. We're beginning to keep pace with other major economic players in the world that we were slipping further and further behind. It was getting to the point there where it was only a matter of a few years before China's economy would be bigger. Now it looks like they're not going to get the chance. It looked like India was fast going to supplant us. Not going to supplant us. This is, by the way, similar to in the 80s. After all the recessions and problems there, people thought Japan was going to supplant us. Then Reagan came along. Whoops, yeah, I guess you didn't get your chance to be the #1 world economy. Trump is doing a spectacular economic job. He's also doing well on foreign policy for the left to come along. And we're in a job boom. We've begun adding middle class and working class jobs, not just minimum wage positions. GDP growth is continuing to rise. It's sustained. It could hit 5% next quarter. Who knows? Everything's fine economically. Why are these people so irate about this? Oh, that's because it's Trump who happens to be the president. That's funny. If these markers aren't good, why did you spend the first year and a half of his presidency declaring it to still be the Obama economy? Because you wanted credit for it. Unemployment kept going down. Job creation was picking up. We started adding the right kind of jobs. Of course you wanted Obama, the messiah of the liberal movement, to get credit for that. You didn't want to give Trump credit. Now, because it's impossible, with a straight face at least, to claim it's still the Obama economy, they say, well, no, it's nothing special. It's nothing special that the economy is growing and outpacing population growth finally on a sustained basis. That we aren't in any major wars yet. You know, if the John McCain's ghost gets his way over Syria, maybe that'll change. Unfortunately, that would probably fuck our economy long term. By the way, so I would significantly warn Trump off of that plan to get involved over Idlib. Just leave it alone and let the Syrian people deal with their own problems. They've had enough problems because of the international community. But see liberals that for 8 years fucking mismanaged the economy into the fucking ground, try to ridicule the person who's shot consumer confidence up to its highest levels. Consumer confidence is at an all-time high. And it wasn't since 1984 that we've had this kind of sustained blue-collar growth. Since the 1980s, the boom of Ronald Reagan is the last time the economy was doing this well, and in some ways it's doing better. In some ways, the economy right now is better than it was when it was morning in America again. And people are still worried about the economy because the person at the helm happens to be Donald Trump, and they've been told that he's a bad person. That's funny. He seems to be doing all right by me. He lowered my taxes. A lot of my contemporaries now, they had no job, now they have a job. They had a shitty job, they have a better job. Consumerism is, come back into the economy. Lending is happening again. Things are going fine. I don't understand how the Democrats think that they're going to be able to score any form of political points over this issue. Donald Trump, think about this. Donald Trump is the president. What is Donald Trump best known for? He's rich. He's a magnate. He makes a lot of money. He invests in things. Most of the time it more or less succeeds. That's what he's known for. You're not going to be able to go up against him. Not on the economy. Challenge him on something else. Keep calling him a bigot for all it's worth, because that's basically all the Democrats could do. That's about all. Peace out.